Hello, my friends. Today I want to talk about something that some politicians would like to pass, and they call it tax on unrealized gains. Now, they always talk about, well, this will make millionaires pay more money, or billionaires even. In one way, it does sound good, but think of it a different way. Depending on how they write this bill, it could definitely hurt the low, working in people in the middle class. And I'll show you how. Say like they put no exemptions on it. Suddenly, let's say your house or 401k balances 150,000. So let's say you gained 10% in a year, which means you gained 15,000 because 10% of 150,000 is 15,000. If your tax bracket is the 10%, you would have to pay 1,500 in taxes on that, even though you didn't sell anything. If you're in the 15% tax bracket, you would have to pay 2,250. Now, let's say you had a better year in your 401k, and you would have a bill of 30,000 then, or gain, and your tax bill would be 3,000. And then, where was I? 4,500 for the 15% bracket. Let's say you're getting closer to retirement and you have 200,000 in your 401k, which for anybody who's 20 right now probably thinking, I'll never have that much. But this, if you've been putting in your 401k for 20, 30, 40 years, 40 years being someone who's nearing retirement, you gain 10%, that's 20,000. 10% of that's a $2,000 tax bill. And 15%, if you're in that bracket, is 3,000. And then if you gain 20, it's 40,000 gang on your balance. You would have to pay 4,000 and 6,000. Now, a lot of people say surely they'll write a exemption into it for anyone who has under a certain amount of money. They might, but what if they don't? This is why you have to think about this. And I know if you're in your 20s or 30s, you ain't got nowhere near this much money in your 401k. What about your home? Say like you bought a home 20 years ago, and you're like 45 now or something, and you paid maybe 70, 80,000 for it, and today they tell you the home is worth 150,000. Let's say your property value of your home goes up 10%. Well, if they don't exempt homes, that's part of your property, part of your assets, that could be the same tax bill as what your 401k one was. Same if it's 200,000. So it sounds like a good idea, but depending on how they do it, it could be a crippling tax debt for working class people, something they shouldn't want. And because all this seems so unfair when you start talking about, well, it's unrealized gain. That means you have not sold nothing. You have not sold your house. You've not sold your any stocks or mutual funds in your 401k, and yet they say, well, you gained 10%, so you have a tax bill off of that. And just say like you're 60, 61, and you got even more than 200,000. And let's say the stocks have a really good year and you gain 30%. You start looking at what a tax off of, say, 300,000 would be at 30%, or 20%, 300,000, that'd be 60,000 on your 20% gain. And then if you were in the 15% tax bracket, that would be 6 for the 10%, and then 12, not 12. Let me see if I'm doing the math right. Yeah, I think it would be 12,000. So you have to think about that law. If they ever pass that kind of a law, It's not going to be good depending on how the exemptions are written. And if there is no exemption, it's going to be an eternal shackle on your ability to create any kind of wealth, because they're going to just tax a lot of it away. So anyway, I want you all to think about this before you support unrealized gain tax of any kind, because depending on how they decide to do it and who they exempt and where it is, you could be facing a lot of tax bills higher than what you already are. But that's all I got for this. Please let me know what you think in the comments, and like and subscribe if you like this kind of content.